Hello everyone! It's been a really long time since I've done a video about Reddit crochet drama slash knit slash fiber arts. I've been super busy, so I haven't really had the time to sit down and look through and find some Reddit posts, but I have four for you today that I think have some pretty good conversation. So just like my other videos, I try to find posts that have a really good conversation behind it and is more just a topic of conversation, not necessarily like pointing fingers at a designer or something like that. I don't want any further drama to come out of this video. We're just using it as topics to talk about. Comment down below your opinions on everything so we can chat about it. Don't go to any designer's page and start hashing things out, okay? Before we get to the Reddit post, I did have some tea for you. The tea is that someone is copying my videos. So I was on YouTube like 2 days ago and I was scrolling, just trying to find something to watch, and I found someone talking about crochet Reddit drama, which obviously is not a new thing. I did not create this by any means. I was like, oh, I do that as well. Let me check out this video. So I clicked on it, and once I start watching it, I'm like, this video is like literally the exact same things that I say at the beginning of a video, which I'm like, okay, like I'm basically just saying don't have any drama, whatever, like it's nothing crazy by any means. So I was like, thought kind of nothing of it. I'm like, okay, maybe they saw that these videos were doing well and they wanted to like do something similar. Totally fine. And I went to their page trying to like check things out more, and they have a second one, so I went to the second one, and they're doing the exact same format of like 4 Reddit posts, and all 4 of the posts were exactly the ones that I've done in my past videos. And I like look really hard for Reddit posts to the point where I go like 3 or 4 years back of Reddit posts. So the fact that they had the same posts with being some older ones, I don't know, kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm not gonna mention who they are, but I just thought I would throw it out there. If you are that person, it's cool. Just try to find your own Reddit posts, you know? We want different conversations at least. Don't try to just replicate the whole video. Okay, now let's dive into the actual Reddit posts. So this first one is actually fairly new. It's 27 days ago. If you follow the Craftsnark Reddit page, you probably saw this, but I thought it was interesting. I think this topic is just gonna make me rant a lot. So if you want to rant with me, come along. Okay, so it's called "Someone Tried Refunding a Pattern They Bought Because They Found a Stolen Free Version Elsewhere." Yeah, this designer, I follow her, I love her patterns. I actually own this pattern specifically. So it was like a screenshot that she put on her story. The designer on the story says, "I'm sorry, but thinking you're entitled to a refund because someone else decided to upload my pattern to a website without my permission, and then getting so mad about me not refunding you because of said stolen pattern that you give me a 1-star review is nuts." Yeah, this person probably contacted the designer and said, "Hey, I found a free version of this pattern. Can I get this purchase refunded?" The designer was like, obviously no, because the free version you found online is stolen. So then they gave a 1-star review of her pattern, and then the designer responded to the 1-star, which is good, so people can see on Etsy why this pattern got a 1-star. And she said, "Finding a stolen free version of my pattern somewhere else is not a valid reason for a refund. May you learn to respect artists in the future. Have the day you deserve." And then the designer said, "I'm so incredibly grateful that literally every single other time someone's found a stolen pattern of mine online, they reach out to let me know rather than whatever the F this is." Yeah, that's insane. I picked this out, one, just for us to like show like people are crazy, but also I feel like I've been seeing this a lot. So I have my free butterfly top pattern. It gets stolen on Etsy all the time. So I like go on Etsy quite often, like searching for my pattern that other people are selling, and I report it. From doing that is just seeing how many AI patterns are listed on Etsy. And I've literally like saw people leave reviews on said AI patterns to like they give it like 4 stars. And I saw once that someone said, obviously an AI pattern, but it wasn't too bad. I'm like, what? Why are you okay with buying an AI pattern? Like, why are you okay with someone scamming you? That's kind of this a little bit. Like, why are you okay with something being stolen? You know what I mean? Like, it just feels so weird. And it's crazy to me that people are okay spending money on an AI pattern or like are okay getting scammed in that way. Like, why would you spend money for something that you literally could have had AI do yourself? That makes no sense. Yeah, it really irritates me. Obviously, everyone's super annoyed about this. Just the audacity of people to literally ask for a refund because they found it stolen online is crazy. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, but I just thought that post was crazy and it was a new post, so I felt like I should cover it. My second post that I have, it's older. It's 3 years old. All the rest of my posts are like multiple years old, but they still have conversations that are prevalent now. So it's not super crazy and just not relevant anymore. It's called Charging Pattern Testers? Question mark. It says, anyone have experience with being charged for testing a pattern? I follow an artist who just started releasing patterns and is calling for testers. The testers are given less than a month to finish the project and submit feedback. If they fail to do so, they will be charged $5 to $7, depending on the pattern. Is this a common practice, or am I just not seeing many pattern tester calls like the one above? So yeah, this is something that some designers do, and I disagree with it. I've actually only had one tester do this. This was multiple years ago. I'll explain my reasoning. But yes, some designers will, if you don't complete the pattern test, they ask you to purchase the pattern. It's weird because people are volunteering to do this for you. It's not like you are paying them at all. So it makes no sense for them to have to pay back. Like, if you sign up to volunteer for, I don't know, the soup kitchen, I guess. I was just trying to think of something. What do people volunteer for? You sign up to volunteer for an event and then something comes up, life happens, and you are not able to fulfill that volunteer. They're not going to make you like, I'm assuming, I guess I'm going on a limb here saying that they're not going to make you like pay money because you didn't fulfill your volunteer that you said you would do for no money. You know what I mean? It's not that deep. I don't see why designers are like absolutely needing this $5, $7, $10 just because a tester did not fulfill their testing obligations. What I do to help out with this is if my testers don't finish the pattern but still fill out the feedback, I consider that a finished test. And if they don't finish the test / don't fill out the feedback form, the only thing that they don't get is the finalized pattern PDF. Like, as long as you fill out the feedback form, you could really even say nothing. It's just more the thought that counts, that you took the time to even tell me you spelled this wrong or something. They will get the final version of the pattern. And that's all I do. I just think that's so much better, especially like people can suddenly get wrist injuries from crocheting or something, and you're not going to be like, well, now you have to pay. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. Back to when I said I did have one person pay. So this was like 1 or 2 years into designing for me. So like probably like 2023 or something. And I had a testing call for my Tunisian crochet cardigan pattern. In the testing call application form, I obviously say this is a Tunisian crochet pattern, and then one of the questions you're required to answer is, what's your level of Tunisian crochet experience? Like, is it intermediate? Is it advanced? Is it beginner? What I used to do is once I picked everyone, I just threw them all in a group chat and then sent them the pattern right away. I had someone who was like, oh, I thought this was a knit pattern. I'm like, no, it's a Tunisian crochet pattern. Like, it's Obviously a Tunisian crochet, like why would I ask your Tunisian crochet experience if this was a knitting pattern? That makes no sense. So I did have them pay, and then I learned from there not to send out the pattern until people like give me confirmation to accept and that they're willing to test, with being that the final testing being completed is just the feedback form now. Yeah, I've slowly learned through things, and so I don't run into the issue where I just send it to someone and then them being like, I can't do this. Designers really have to like learn and also appreciate their testers and know that this is a volunteer. Testing is a really weird relationship. We need testers to help us with a product that we're selling. And some designers assume that people are going to be signing up for their testing call. And they're like, it's just something that they're expectant of now. And testers will like fall over their feet just to be able to test a pattern for a designer. And I think everyone needs to just chill out. I'm always so grateful when anyone signs up for my testing call. Like, you're willing to volunteer so much of your time to do this favor for me. That's crazy. And I appreciate you so much. Like, it's so weird to think of like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed that you chose me and like that you picked me to do this for you. It's so weird. Let me know what you think about charging for pattern tests. I know there's bad people everywhere, and there's some people that'll take a pattern and run and just not respond. I've maybe had that happen once when I first started, but like, people just suck. It's gonna happen. And even if they do run away with your pattern, they're probably not gonna pay you. So, I don't know. I think you should never really be doing it. Like I said, the one time I did it was a long time ago too. So, I don't know. Also, I feel kind of valid for doing that because I'm like, how did you not? It's Tunisian crochet. What do you mean? On to our third Reddit post. This is from 5 years ago, but it is still prevalent, so I'm going to talk about it. It's kind of a long one, so strap in. So it's called Size Inclusive Does Not Equal Shape Inclusive. They said, this is something I've had on my mind for quite a while now. I see lots of people complain that certain patterns are poorly written or claim that they're not size inclusive because they don't fit their body shape. I think these complaints are a little unfair, honestly. While patterns can relatively easily be made to fit a large range of bust sizes, I think that people need to accept that not every pattern can be written for every shape. It sucks, sure, but that's just reality. I am 5 feet tall flat, and I have a large bust for my height. Literally nothing is written for short people. Anytime I want to knit a circular yoke, I have to do lots of math to figure out where I should separate for the sleeves, because the larger bust sizes also tend to be longer for the obvious reasons. Which means I have to alter basically every single one of these patterns I make, because if I don't, I will cause the whole yoke to bunch up every time I lift my arms. Sometimes I see busty people saying that a pattern was poorly written because it made them look heavier than they are because there is no waist shaping. There is literally nothing stopping you from adding your own, but you can't expect the designer to provide instructions for how when it isn't a part of their design. Does it mean the pattern was written poorly? Hell no. It just means that most designers don't have the time to make 100 different versions of their patterns. It's just reality. Just as some clothing you'll find in a store won't fit you, it is not realistic to expect every single pattern in the world to be made to fit every body type without a little effort on your part. Stop saying some designs are badly written just because they aren't written for your body type. And then they said there's been some really good discussion in the comments. There's 155 comments, so I'm not going to be reading all of those. This is an interesting conversation. It's obviously not really drama. It's just a topic that is of interest. I partially agree with what they are saying, but partially disagree. So let me explain. If you are not familiar with my patterns are called made to measure patterns. I specifically made them because of things like this, where if you have to alter a pattern because your body is not in the chart of standard sizing, it's so much math to figure out how to make it actually fit you. I think a prime example is like your arms being slightly longer than the average person, and if it's like a decreasing sleeve, the math has been done to decrease evenly. You're now going to have to completely change the decrease intervals if you just lengthen the sleeve. It gets really complicated. So that's why I did my patterns the way I do. That way you can literally just type your body measurements into the pattern and have it fully updated. Is just really nice. So you don't have to do all this random math yourself. But on the other hand, I do agree with them saying that not every pattern is going to be perfect for your body, especially with just tons of patterns out there. What I mean by this is I had a testing call a little bit ago, and the goal of the pattern is to be a boxy fit t-shirt, like basic, no shaping in the waist. It's a raglan t-shirt, but I didn't want to make it overly complicated because when it comes to my patterns one, like with the sizing, it would be very difficult to figure out shaping and like, because not only are you going to increase for the raglan, now suddenly you're going to have to be decreasing, increasing for the body. It was just really complicated. Like the goal of the pattern was to be a simple Tunisian crochet raglan t-shirt pattern. That's the goal. And some of my testers were kind of requesting more things added to the pattern, which is fine. I would like that feedback with testing, but I think there's also a balance of what a pattern is trying to do, because some were asking to be able to, they wanted longer sleeves on the pattern. And I was like, the point of this pattern is it's a t-shirt. I don't want to now suddenly make it something it's not, if that makes sense. There was also requests for waist shaping, which I also didn't want to make it as more complex than what it was. We're making it simple as just a boxy t-shirt. The pattern itself is a boxy t-shirt. It doesn't have waist shaping. So that's kind of where I agree with her, because obviously if you want waist shaping in that pattern that I'm specifically talking about, that's my pattern. You're going to have to figure it out yourself, because I didn't add it to the pattern because that's not what the pattern is. So not every single pattern is going to be exactly what you want it to be, but that's the amazing thing about how many patterns are out there. You can probably find a pattern out there that you're looking for that has what you want. So obviously it's very important, and it's so nice to be able to have a pattern to fully adapt to your measurements. So like my made to measure patterns, but also knowing that not every pattern out there is for you. And obviously we want basic sizing, like we want extra small through 5X on all patterns. That's the goal that we have at least set for all of us. That's like the bare minimum. But just know, even if something says it goes all the ranges of 5X, it might not have the waist shaping you want, so it might still not be the pattern for you. I hope I explained myself well in all that. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this topic. I don't know, I just think it's so interesting. Like, we've kind of like silently, maybe not silently, created rules of what makes a pattern size inclusive, right? We feel good enough to say this is size inclusive, but that's like the bare minimum that we've set. I say we could go further by being able to have patterns that customize to your measurements and help with things like this person's talking about of they're shorter. So being able to shorten everything up and not have to do all the math yourself. We could keep going, but where do we draw the line? Shape inclusive is also a very interesting term to use. Size inclusive does not equal shape inclusive. Yeah, maybe I'll have to think about that more, but I'm very curious to see what you guys think about it. On to our very last Reddit post. This was 2 years ago. Someone said that they had a Reddit post suggestion. I cannot remember where this came from, but I wrote it down and put it in like my Notion and kept it just to like somehow get to it. So this is one of your guys' suggestions. They basically said that they would be interested in seeing a discussion about this. I completely forgot to say, if you have any recommendations of any Reddit posts to talk about, let me know, please. I need ideas so I don't have to just keep searching and Googling online to find some. So I'm gonna read the Reddit post first, and then I'll read this person's Reddit suggestion or like discussion after the fact. Okay, so this Reddit post is called "What's Going On with This Designer?" Obviously, this was 2 years ago, so the designer doesn't really matter in this situation. We're more just talking about the conversation and topic around it. So there's a screenshot of a Instagram post of their caption. So we're going to read that. So the caption says, "If you saw my previous post about a new design, now deleted, unfortunately, I've decided not to publish it. It was brought to my attention that there was another very old design out in the world already that was very similar. I thought I was creating a simple, classic, and traditional design, but it turns out that the traditional elements seems to have begun its life from this one older original design. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. There is a lot of time and money spent on each design before it gets to publication, so it's a huge financial and emotional loss. As with most designers, I put so much effort into every detail of a new design, so to not see it come to life on your needles brings me a lot of sadness. Apologies if you had already volunteered to test knit the design. I will no longer be proceeding." Then the person with the post says, "Anyone know if she was pressured out of releasing this pattern? Either way, I find this new trend of designers not releasing patterns simply because it's similar to another one so sad. It's not plagiarism or theft to make a similar design if it's still your own." I'm going to read one of your suggestions as well that kind of ties to this topic, and then we'll talk about it all together. So this person said, "One thing I would be interested in seeing a discussion about is crochet designers who have bigger followings stealing or claiming they came up with a new pattern before looking to make sure that pattern doesn't already exist. I am an amigurumi pattern designer, and recently a larger designer came out with a pattern that looked exactly like the one I released months before. It made me so sad because I loved the designer and her patterns, but felt sad because I spend hours scouring the internet before releasing a pattern to make sure I am not copying anyone else. And not that profit is everything, but I am a super small business, and right after she released her pattern, mine stopped selling. I don't want to say the pattern designer's name because I truly love her patterns and still fully support her, but I would like to know your thoughts on this." So I guess kind of the conversation around this is, first, if you have a pattern design, should you look up online first to make sure it doesn't exist? And then two, if you don't do that and then make your pattern and then you find out that there's one that already exists out there, should you still release it? This is definitely a tricky conversation. I just recently, there's a kind of viral, I think it's viral, that someone put out recently. I've been seeing it on TikTok where he made like a sweater, and it's a pretty basic stitch of a sweater, and he was going to make a pattern for it, and then suddenly he noticed that there was like another pattern out there for it, so he's deciding not to release it. I say to release it. I personally say to release it. His situation, he was saying that he was going to make it a free pattern, and because there's a paid for pattern out there, he doesn't want to steal that person's revenue, which I think is like a little bit more of a tricky situation, which I understand where he would be coming from. I don't know, it's a little bit like dependent on the situation, but I think if you find a pattern out there, you know for sure that your design was not inspired by that design, and like directly. Sometimes we have this amazing idea and then we find out later that it was inspired by another idea, but we weren't directly like, that's cool, I'm gonna do this exact same thing. Like, that's obviously not good, but we inspire each other all the time without even realizing where you get your inspiration from, and then you happen to create something that you're like, this came from me. And then if it's similar to another thing, I think it's weird to not follow through with the thing that you were excited about, that you got inspired to make, if that makes sense. We're not talking about, like I mentioned, we're not talking about like people who fully just like copy other people. And even if two patterns are literally like on paper, they seem like the same pattern. They're not, because you write your patterns differently than other people. If all of our patterns looked exactly the same and we wrote the exact same way, we'd have a lot less patterns to be able to write. But people fall in love with designers, not only their designs, but also just the way that they actually write their patterns. Some people like the way one designer writes it, and then another person could absolutely hate the way that designer writes their patterns. So having like similar designs doesn't necessarily mean it's the exact same pattern. It could be completely different. You never know that construction could be completely different. It could be top down and the other one could be bottom up. You have no idea. Like, it is different still. And I don't think just the final outcome being kind of similar is enough to not follow through with something. Going back to the Reddit post that we read, I obviously haven't seen the 2 sweaters. I didn't really do the work to go look them up by any means. They mentioned that it's an older original design, like an older pattern that's been out there for a while. Older patterns, number one, sometimes don't have great grading. They don't have good size inclusivity, and sometimes they're written really poorly. So if you have a design that's kind of similar, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about it. Now, going to the one of your guys' recommendations with somewhat around the same conversation, but more towards amigurumi. Amigurumi, I think, is a little bit different for me. I kind of hate how with amigurumi, you get so many replicas of the same exact thing. So many. Like, there are so many cats. There's so many bunnies. If you're like, I'm gonna make an amigurumi cat, the least you could do is like go online and be like, okay, is there anything that looks kind of like this? Obviously, there's only a few ways you can make a cat, you know? But I think doing your due diligence, especially with amigurumi, if your idea is not like a fully brand new, like random abstract thing, if you're like doing an animal that exists in the real world, the likelihood of that existing on the internet already is pretty high. So I think with amigurumi, it's kind of a different story compared to garments. Obviously, like, you can talk about, like, there's still going to be maybe different construction or different even yarn size. Like, the look might be different, and yeah, that's totally fine. I don't know. With amigurumi, it's a little bit harder. This is such a hard conversation because it really, truly is like dependent on the situation. And I think it is important if you have a pattern design to maybe go look up if anyone else has a design like it. But I don't, like, in my opinion, with garments, you might find a design out there that was made in the 80s and it might not be a good pattern. And who knows if people are still buying it. So make it, you know? But if someone released one that looked exactly like it, like a year ago, and you happen to follow them and you're like, oh, yeah, I think I did see this, then maybe not. I think that's all I have to say about it, because I think I just keep spiraling in what I'm trying to figure out and think. So I want to know what you guys think about it for sure. Do you think it's situation dependent? Do you think that if you find a pattern out there that you just created, that you should not publish it at all? Yeah, I don't know. Let me know. Those were our 4 Reddit posts. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it got your brain thinking a little bit about all these topics, and that you comment down below and let me know if you disagree with me or agree with me, or if you have a different take, because I would love to hear it. I love to hear everything that you guys think and your different perspectives, because it gets me thinking again as well. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
I wish I could leave my skin behind in this old rented room, float my way across the great divide and be buried